Hey everybody, Martin here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a FlappyBird game in 30 minutes or less using the Unity engine. First you want to install Unity, and once you have Unity installed, you can run it. So if you've done anything in Unity before, you know how to create a new project, just file New Project. But if this is your first doing anything with Unity, you'll be prompted with this window when you try and run Unity. It's the project wizard. So you can name your project right here. I'm going to leave mine as default. And you want to switch from the 3D default to the 2D default because we're making the 2D game. And press create. Exit out of this window. So this is the blank template that Unity has. Yours will look slightly different because I have preferences on my layout. But yours looks something like this. You have the inspector for all the different kind of settings, variables I guess you call them, that Unity uses. The scene for where all your objects are and where they interact, the hierarchy of all the objects that are in the scene. The game window is kind of similar to the end product and how the game's actually going to look when you run it on a phone, tablet, or even on the PC. And assets, that's kind of where all your assets for the game are, pretty much. So when you start up a new project, it's always good to get organized and create a few folders for yourself. And most tutorials on Unity will tell you how to tell you that you should do that. So we're just going to create four basic folders that anyone needs. I'll tell you about them now in just 2 seconds. Grab them. Cool. So we have 4 folders: prefab, scenes, scripts, and textures. Prefabs are objects in the game that we'll use over and over again, like obstacles, walls, and bullets. Bullets are a great example. Scenes, that's like a level in the game. Scripts, that's where you write your bit of code for how things interact in the game. And textures, that's just images for all the different types of things in your game. Cool. So on the blog I've uploaded the 4 images that you're going to need for this game, the submarine game. So you're going to load them into the textures. First you begin by loading in the background. And then once the background is in the textures folder, you drag it onto the scene view. And in the scene view then, you go to the transform bar here, and you go to scale, and you're going to scale the X by 2, you're going to scale the Y by 2. You actually do it by 4, just get a nice big area for yourself, okay? And then you're going to drag in the submarine. There we go, and you're going to drag that up. So there's our sub. That's actually quite a lot of the game done. You wouldn't believe it. But once you've dragged that on, you want to go to the transform again, this time on the position row. You want to change the Z to a -1. Because if you put it as 0, he's going to be on the same level as the background. If you put it as 1, he's going to be behind the background. -1 means he's in front of the background. So he's going to be the very front thing you see. Okay? Next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to create a script. So we can go into our scripts and we can create a new C# script. Okay? And this is going to, we'll call this player. So this is where we're going to put the code that's going to affect our player. So if we double click that, it's going to open in mono-develop. Now I've uploaded the code you're going to need for each section. Okay? So that's the basic shell. You can copy paste that, or copy and paste the code over that. So there we go. Now if we talk a little about this, jump force, okay? Jump force takes 2 parameters. This is going to be the X and this is going to be the Y. So the Y is the only thing going to be changed, so the Y is going to go up by 300. And we're going to call the update function. Okay, the update function runs once per frame, okay? And what are we doing here? We're getting, if we press a key, what key? The space key. What's going to happen? We're going to add a force of jump force right here. Okay? It's all pretty simple. So when we tap the space button, we're going to bounce up in the air. Okay? So that's pretty much that. We're going to come back to this and add a few things later. So you can file save, leave mono-develop open. Yeah, there we go, loaded. Cool. So now if we press play, nothing happens. Of course nothing happens because we haven't done anything yet. So press that off again. So the next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add a component. We're going to go to Physics 2D, and we're going to add a rigid body. Okay, so now press play. Our submarine fell. Why is that? Because since we added rigid body, the submarine is now affected by gravity, so it's going to fall constantly. Okay? So the next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add another component, and this component is going to be script, and it's going to be the player script. Okay? So now run the game. So every time we tap space, we bounce up. Okay? Pretty simple. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drag in the obstacles. Okay? Drag in the obstacles. There we go. Need to budget. And drag them in there. Drag them in there. Okay? And we can change them if you want. 0.4. Making too big. Just a heads up, guys. We're going to be affecting how these generate. So they're going to randomly generate in a while when we add that feature in. But you want to make sure that they're so far above, because it's very finicky doing this, and there's no real way around it except for trial and error. So you want to create these things fairly long, so that when they shift down, you're basically going to make them shift down by whatever range you want. So if it was 4, they shift down like this. But you want to make sure that it doesn't look like this, so you can see the blue space. So you're going to want to make sure that this is quite long. So we're actually going to make them 2, okay? Doesn't look the greatest because they're stretched out, but it's trial and error, and this is just a really quick tutorial. And make sure that they're spaced fair enough that you can jump between them. I think that should be right. Okay? That's not too bad. And while we're at it, we could do -1, that won't hurt. So now they're on the same level as the submarine. Okay? Now, we want to create a new game object, because these are going to be constantly used. So we're going to make a game object, and you can rename that to rock pair. Okay? Rock pair. And then you're going to highlight these 2 things and drag them down. Okay? Now, we'll click on the rock pair, and we're going to add a rigid body 2D. Now, so basically we don't want these falling down, because that's no good, because then our obstacles, we won't even have any obstacles in the game because they'll constantly be falling. So what you want to do is you want to go into the rigid body 2D, and you want to make it is kinematic. Okay? That basically means they're not affected by gravity. They're going to stay the same. Okay? So that's pretty simple so far. And now we'll go into our scripts again, and we're going to create a C# script. We're going to create, we're going to call it obstacle. Okay? And then go back into one. Yep, cool. Go to scripts. And once again, you can copy paste the code from the blog into this, and I'll tell you exactly what it does. Cool. There we go. So what have we done here? Okay, velocity takes 2, -4 in the x now, and nothing in the y. Okay, and we're going to start rigid body velocity, -4. Okay, so basically the gist of this is the rock pair is now going to move -4 across the screen, so it's going to move to the left. Okay, so we can go file save as. There's not an awful lot there, to be honest with you. This isn't the C# tutorial, this is just Java. Or Unity, sorry. Okay, and we can minimize that then now. I always have to make sure these things update, because that's a real pain to do it later on. So now, we've added the, just like we added the script to the sub, to the rock pair, we're going to have to add the script. Okay? We're going to have to add the obstacle script. Cool. There we go. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to drag the rock, sure to do this right. Drag the rock pair down to the prefabs. Because the prefab, that's what we're going to use it, okay? And you want to delete the rock pair from the original, okay? So there we go. So now what's next for us inside this? Well, we're going to create another script, and this script is going to be another C# script, because it's all in C#. And we're going to create generators to generate randomly generation. We're going to get them to basically generate and have a little flow point in between. Okay. And there we go, and once again copy the generate code from the blog. There we go. Now what exactly are we doing here? We're calling this, okay, so once we start, we have a game object called rocks. I'll show you that in 1 second. So once start happens, what are we actually doing? Well, we're calling this method every few seconds to create an obstacle, okay? And I'll show you where we set that obstacle, okay? Basically here, instantiate rocks. But we're going to do it every 1.5 seconds, okay? The one after, that's fine. Okay, yep, file, that's alright. Make sure this works. Okay, minimize that now. Now, you need to create another game object here. Create empty. Okay, create an empty game object. I'm going to rename this scripts for the logs. So you click on scripts, we add a component, we add scripts, we add generate. And right here is this object that we created called rocks. And currently it's not linked to anything, so nothing's going to happen if we don't do anything. So we go into the prefabs and we drag it right up here, okay? So now basically it's going to instantiate rocks, it's going to create a rock, the rock pair, every 1.5 seconds. Okay, now let's try running this. Ooh. Yeah, that's fine. Except for the fact that I didn't leave enough space, but hey, we don't have a lot of time to go back and fix that, but that's fine. Okay, so killing the player now. So if we go back to the sub, click on the sub, we're going to have to add a component, okay? We're going to have to create add a 2D, and we're going to create a box collider. Okay, we're going to add a box collider. So what the box collider does is, you can see right here, it's created a box all around the submarine, okay? So basically, if we hit any object, if that box hits any object, we're going to die, okay? Cool. So now if we go to rock pair, we're going to add another. We don't need a box collider for this because ideally we'd be using a polygon collider for the submarine, but that requires a little bit more tweaking, and we don't need to go into that right now. But basically all we need to know is that we're going to add a polygon collider to the rock pair. And that basically means that instead of a box, it's going to be wrapped to the outline of the rock pair. Okay? You know what? That should not be in there. I did that wrong. Nope, that was right, sorry. Box collider. Yep, that's right. For the rock pair, get rid of this component. Remove component. You have to do it for each individual one, okay? Move to the polygon collider. Okay, this one here, polygon collider. The polygon collider. Yeah, you can't do it for the pair. That just leads to a lot of problems later on. So yeah, you have to do it for each individual object right there. Now, hopefully I'll actually be able to fit through these things. See that? That's pretty fun. Am I gonna have to go back and tweak this? Yeah, oh. It's possible. This is very hard now. Okay. Oh man. I'm all sorts of failing right now. Okay. If I change the top one to 1.3, what happens? I don't even know what's gonna happen. Hopefully it's gonna create. Oh yes, this is perfect. Nope. Well, that was pretty good, but I screwed it up. But yeah, anyway, you need to make sure you leave enough room because you don't want to do what I just did. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's up. Okay. Not bad. Okay. Now I have the finished code up there in the player class. Okay. So now we're gonna have to go back and we're gonna have to edit the player to actually create a die function, which is basically just gonna load the level again. So we go back into player. Okay. I'll put the finished code up there at the moment, but okay, you can copy all the code from that one now and put it back in. Okay, there we go. So what happens here? Same thing, just added this and this thing here. So if we collide, we call the die function. What's the die function? Here's the die function. If we die, load the level again. Okay, right over here we've set the screen position. If our screen position goes too high or if our screen position goes below the bottom, we die. Okay, pretty simple. You can't go above or below the game screen. That's not fun. So if we go file, save all, we can save that. Okay, and we're going to edit a few things inside in the obstacle to make the game slightly random. Okay, so you can copy the code from that. There we go. Boom. Copy. Cool. I'll submit the full bit of code so you don't have to go back and do this. You can just submit it all. It'll do no harm later on in the game anyway. Okay, so what have we done here? We've created a float range of 4. So that means we're going to, you can see right here on the transform position that we're going to transform x and transform y minus the range random value. So what we're going to do is we're going to randomly position the rock pair 4 up, 4 down, or anywhere in the middle every 1.5 seconds, okay? Because the 1.5 is from when we said we were going to create the object. So we're going to create it in a range, okay? So you can file, save all. Okay, yeah, and let's go to generate again. We're going to add in the, where are we going? Here we go. We're going to go to scripts, we're going to generate. I shouldn't have done that because I have it open. Okay. Okay, oh my god, I've done something so stupid. I've mixed up my things. This belongs to player. Okay, that belongs to player. Obstacle is fine. Obstacle is fine. That's perfect. Generate is now completely different from what it should be. Sorry guys, my mistake. Trying enough to do this in 30 minutes. Well, it's not really, but I'm messing up all the logic here. Control V. There we go. Okay, so we've created a new variable called score. Alright? And on GUI we're going to write a color. The color is going to be black. Okay? Do you know what? Yeah, we can leave it as black. You can change black to whatever color you want. And then the label is just going to be created in the top left corner, and it's going to be score 2 string. So it's just going to be score and whatever our score is. And if we go down here, we're going to score plus plus. Every time an obstacle is created, we're going to get a score. We're going to instantiate it by 1. So we get 1 point every time something is created. Okay? Okay, now we can exit out of this. Now, let us see what happens when we run this game. You can see score on the top. See, now that's what I told you about the range. The range is a bit finicky. So you're going to need to try a few things to get the range. Yeah, that's exactly what I said at the start. You see, you need to make the obstacles so much higher than the screen, so much lower than the screen, that when you make them randomly go up by 4 and down by 4, that they're not going to pull down to the bottom, so that like the top isn't within that range. so that the top becomes visible of it, and then you see this blue space in between. It's a minor detail, but it requires some tweaking, and that's how you're going to learn how to do Unity, is this little tweaking, okay? Now guys, that is basically it, to be perfectly honest with you. That's a very basic one. That's the one I learned to make before, so I'm going to put up the code for you online, and you can copy paste it in and follow this video, hopefully. My game is available on the Windows Store, by the way, if you wanted to download it. It's called SubExplorer. It's basically this one in the tutorial. I did it for my C# module last semester, and I'm going to be updating it over the next couple of weeks. That's been on the back burner for way too long, so I'm actually going to get back to it. Now, just make sure you go File, Save Project, and congratulations guys, you've made FlappyBird. Now, if only you'd done that 2 years ago, you could have been, I don't know, millionaires, like your man. Oh well. Hope you guys enjoyed that anyway. That just shows you kind of how easy Unity is, really. C#, JavaScript, you're done. You know exactly what to do. Okay? Thanks very much for watching guys, and we're going to improve on this. We're going to have a Unity tutorial every Friday from now on, and we're going to work on this game for the next couple of weeks, making this game really cool. Now, there is one thing that I should note about this game. When you create these objects, they're created every 1.5 seconds, okay? So I can't possibly stay alive long enough to actually show you, but if you look up here on the left, look at the 2 rock pairs. If I made it through the game, there'd be 3, okay? But, anyway, the rock pairs stay here, and they just keep generating, okay? They don't actually die, alright? So what I'm actually going to show you now is some code I implemented from my game. So this is the very basic code. This is like super basic. But if I show you now my obstacle, obstacle 1. Okay, I added a little variable called private int time to die. So after they are created, 10 seconds after they are created, they will be deleted. That's perfect because when they start on the right, they're going to be well off the screen by 10 seconds, so you don't care about them anymore. If you didn't do that, they'd be building up on the left of the screen, taking up space because they're there, and eventually the game will get super slow. That's very bad. So yeah, so time to die. Destroy game object. It's pretty good. But anyway guys, thanks very much for watching. How long was that? Let me tell you now. That's 22 minutes. We had it created about in 18 minutes, if I hadn't been rambling so much, and I made a mistake or two along the way. But guys, I hope that gave you a little taste of what Unity is. Check back every Friday, and we'll do something new in Unity with this game for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll go on to make a few different games. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.